everybody, my name is Chris, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Something I haven't actually done on this channel before, but damn it, we're gonna give it a shot. And it's because I watched the movie Dragon Ball Super Hero in theaters, specifically IMAX. One of my best friends, Danny, got us tickets to the IMAX theater to see it, and I don't know what it would have sounded like on a normal theater, but definitely IMAX is loud. And for the fights and everything, it was pretty good. It was pretty good overall. But I wanted to do kind of a two-section thing with this. I wanted to do kind of like a rough review, spoiler-free, and then kind of do a kind of like a deep dive, not so much a deep dive, but like go over specifics in the movie about things that, and about what I thought about certain things in the movie. So yeah, don't worry, I'll let you know there's gonna be spoilers. But yeah, basically, so let's get right into it. So one of the first things that we get with this movie is we're introduced to this really cool opening cutscene, and I really wish I could show you, but I feel like either I can't, copyright, but among other things, the fact that it's not out yet technically, I'm not gonna go into that. But the opening is very cool because it's scenes from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Basically, a lot of the scenes that involve the Red Ribbon Army, which is the main antagonist for this movie. So it has this cool intro that goes over that stuff and kind of reminds you of everything. So it does like this really good setup for the story. Now, the number one thing that I want to talk about that has been on my mind since this movie was announced, shown off, and seeing it in theaters, the animation, and opinions on the internet are dangerous, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the bullet on this one. I don't like the CGI. I don't. Do I think it is bad in this movie? Not as much as I thought it would be. See, here's the thing. I saw basically they have like the Super Dragon Ball Super, the anime for that had its art style. Then for Dragon Ball Super Broly, that movie, they used a different animation studio completely, and I genuinely loved that animation. It was so good. The Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, if you haven't seen it, it is like god tier peak Dragon Ball. It really is. It's so just over the top, testosterone fueled fun, and it's cool. But we're not here to talk about that. My point is, I'm gonna do a separate video on Broly. Good God. But my point is, the animation for that movie was perfect. It won awards, it made a ton of money, and it was just weird to me that after the success, the absolute success of that movie, that they were like, you know what, let's do something different. Let's get a different director. Let's get a different art style, art team, everything. We're gonna do different things. It was like, why? But why? Like, I understand if you want to try something new, but it just seemed like everybody loved the art style. Everybody, like, majority of people, and the money and the reviews and everything shows Broly was incredibly successful. So changing it was a very strange thing. And making something 2D, then suddenly be 3D, and kind of trying to make it look good still, is a challenge. It's a battle. So when they announced that, when they showed off that this was going to be a 3D, like a 3D movie, not actually 2D drawn, my initial reaction was, oh god, no, stop. I can't. Because we've seen that before. We've seen, like, what is it? The Studio Ghibli movie. What is it called? I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember the name. Oh my god, what is it? I'll put it on the screen. But that movie is a very prime example of what happens when you take a really good art style and turn it 3D and expecting it to maintain that same charm, right? Doesn't usually happen. But I'll say it, more often than not, I was fine with it when seeing the movie. I was prepared for it to be weird and really bad, but it wasn't. It wasn't nearly. At the beginning of the movie, when it transitions from 2D to 3D, it was very jarring. But overall, majority of the scenes that were 3D were fine. It's usually when they're trying to do like certain movements and stuff, whether they're subtle or they're quick, it can look very janky with the motion. Like it's not very smooth. Because it's 3D. And the thing is, I understand too how much harder it is to do the hand-drawn style than 3D. I get it. Like with 3D, you can have the model, and then you can rig it and move it and animate it, and you're not sitting there redrawing a bunch of frames constantly. Especially and the big thing is like the 3D shots, the ones that go like around the characters or around a scene. That's so much easier to do in 3D. So I understand probably why they used it, because there were a lot of scenes in this that benefited from the 3D, and more often than not, I did forget that the movie was 3D most of the time. So that I think was a good thing, right? But we're introduced to the main guy, Magenta, and he is trying to bring back the Red Ribbon Army. And the guy who basically was the genius behind all of that and the androids and everything, Dr. Gero, is dead. He's dead. He was killed in Dragon Ball Z. So, the person with all the intelligence to do that basically doesn't exist. Until his great-grandson, Dr. Hedo. Dr. Hedo, he is just as much of a genius, if not more. He also loves androids, to the point where at one point he had taken some corpses and turned them into androids to run a convenience store. And that was absolutely fantastic. But basically, he's obsessed with superheroes, he loves comics. Dr. Hedo, not really given the villain vibes, which was kind of refreshing, and not having it be like, bad guy, do bad things. It was like kind of an interesting conflict, right? But Magenta basically works pretty hard at convincing Dr. Hedo that they need to bring back the Red Ribbon Army, because evil things are going to happen, and basically convinces him to team up with him. Which the way that happens is, honestly, I thought it was better than I thought it would be. Because it's like, oh, the Red Ribbon Army trying to bring back a villain from Dragon Ball, which was present, but they weren't some kind of like worldwide horrible, like inopposable threat, you know? They were definitely more threatening in Z, but it's the idea that like bringing back an old villain, it's almost cliche for Dragon Ball at sometimes, but the way they did it, I thought was fine. I thought it was pretty good. It's more organic than just being like, hey, they're back suddenly somehow in some way. But yeah, and then we're introduced to the two fresh androids by Dr. Hedo, Gamma 1 and 2, which are all in the trailer. It's been very superhero, very Sentai. That was the vibe I got, like basically Japanese Power Rangers, that whole thing with their poses and their outfits and all that. So I thought it was pretty cool, and having like the Gamma 1 be like the leader, the very stoic, very minimal speaking, very calculated, and then having Gamma 2 be like, kind of like his opposite, whereas the more joking, the more talkative, outgoing, stuff like that. And then showing they aren't just androids, you know, not just another 1718 situation, I thought was cool, you know, because when the movie first showed off that it's like, oh, we're gonna have the Red Ribbon Army back, and it's like probably androids, I was thinking, okay, so it's kind of gonna probably hit some similar beats, but it didn't. It didn't. They actually made the androids really cool. I was very happy about that. But what's it? Yeah, without going many spoilers about all this, because I'm going to go into that after all this, but the development they do for Gohan and Piccolo in this movie, fantastic. It's really good. Very happy with it. It is good. Piccolo got more screen time, and Gohan, really, the side characters in general got screen time, so it's so good. So they deserve it, damn it. Yeah. And I also thought it was interesting because if you haven't seen Super or the Broly movie, this is definitely a pretty solid entry to kind of just like jump into, because it doesn't rely or lean on anything that you would like need to know to get it. You know, it's like, oh, if you haven't seen, you know, all the seasons of Super and the Broly movie, and if you don't know everything about Dragon Ball Z, and you don't know everything about Dragon Ball, it's like, you're not really gonna get what's happening here. You're not gonna be able to understand and respect what they're going for. But they didn't. They do enough recapping, and at certain points to where you can kind of grasp, like, okay, got it, understood, and you can kind of keep going. But if you have seen all of Super and the Broly movie, and maybe you did watch Dragon Ball back then, like, the idea is, it enhances it if you know it, but you don't need to know it to appreciate it, if that makes sense. Overall, I would say, like, pretty good film. Pretty good film. I like it. It was pretty good. I definitely say I'd watch it again. Definitely. But I'm going to that here. I want to hear what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, let's have a discussion. You know, I'm curious, because the only people I know that have seen the movie are some of you guys and Danny. That's it. Literally it. So, like, I don't really know a lot of the opinions about this movie, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a video like this, so I didn't want to go read reviews or like look at other things and then, you know, have that kind of influence my opinion in some way, even if indirectly. Like, when you hear something said by someone else about a scene, kind of like, oh yeah, well yeah, that makes sense. Now I'm looking at it differently. So this is my initial off the mind, like, after seeing the movie, these are my thoughts. But now, stick around for the more, not a play-by-play, but I'm gonna go more into like the details of the movie, because I want to talk about that, because there's a lot that happens, and there's a lot of nuance to it all. That I don't want to spoil if all you wanted to do was hear the review. So, gonna go ahead and cut over to that now. Alright, so at this point we're gonna go into the details of this movie. There's a lot of things that happened. And I'd actually sit here and like be like, oh my god, what did happen? And like really replay the movie to, like, you know, really make sure that I covered everything that I want to talk about, because I do love the movie. I think it's cool. I think it's a great movie. So don't get me wrong, thinking like these criticisms or opinions are in any way being like, this movie sucks. because it doesn't. It is good. Definitely liked it a lot more than Resurrection F. Definitely. But let's get into the details. So the first easy one that I just want to get out of the way is Goku and Vegeta. Right, they established early on Goku and Vegeta are training with Broly on Beerus' planet, which I thought was super cool to see. So cool to see. Super cool, even though realistically Broly had absolutely like nothing to do in this movie. But the fact that he was there mattered. And the whole point being that they didn't forget about him. They didn't forget about my boy Broly, because it's so... I can believe that they would like not talk about Broly again. After this, like, he had his movie, we'll put him on the side, we'll come back to him later, at some other day. But the fact that he's in this, and that they actually have him actively training with Goku, and like Goku, Vegeta, Whis, Beerus, they're there. Broly's training with Goku to try to control his rage and his, like, the way he kind of like loses himself and just goes into his like his blind rage, and also destroys like everything around him. The idea is that they're training Broly to kind of try to control that so that he can fight, but not obliterate any planet that he's on. Like if he ever gets brought back to Earth, right? And then he can live happily there. If he has to throw down, he is very capable of blowing up the entire planet very easily by accident. And so it's really cool that they're establishing that in general. It's like, oh, where is Broly? Oh, he's training. And they didn't make him weaker. That was the I was so happy about that, because I was really worried that he was gonna, for some reason, get nerfed after his incredible debut in Broly, you know, but he didn't. So that was cool. And that's basically how they keep Goku and Vegeta basically kind of acknowledged and in the movie, but they do enough to establish that he can't, that they can't help with the rest of the movie. And honestly, I felt like that was way better, because even though it's like, oh, it's Goku and Vegeta, man, they're like the main guys, it's like, no, Gohan, Piccolo, and the others, they deserve more screen time, and not just to be always attempting something and then getting saved by Goku and Vegeta every time. Let them stand on their own. So I was happy about that. And then we see more of Pan, and from the trailers, I didn't know what they were going to do with Pan in this movie, really. But it was cool to see Piccolo training Pan like he trained Gohan, though he's not being as overbearing and intense as he was with Gohan. He's still training her, and it's kind of cool. It's pretty cool to see how it's going, you know. And like, just as a quick note, Pan is a great character. Like, they made her so fun and funny, and so much better than she was in GT. Not that anybody knows what Dragon Ball GT is. Don't talk about it. It doesn't exist. But yeah, not the best character then, but definitely the way they're going with her here, it's great. Absolutely a great time. But basically, Piccolo finds out that the Red Ribbon Army are returning. He goes undercover, and he basically learns, oh shit, they are actually coming back. Now, what is his initial reaction? We gotta get Goku and Vegeta to get back here and stop this. Now, what's the best way to do that? Oh, well, let's call Bulma. And there's a moment pretty early on that Bulma and Piccolo have a phone call. They have a cell phone. They do some FaceTime. And Piccolo's traded up a little bit. He's got a house now. He's got a house, a cell phone. It's great. But he basically he's tasked with picking up Pan after school, and it's like, all right, sure, that's fine, because Gohan's busy studying. Because Gohan wants to study, and he's got to study, so he can't pick up his own daughter. So Piccolo's got to do it. And Gohan gets some shit indirectly from Piccolo. Just like, God, why can't he do it? Ridiculous. Then we see that Piccolo has an entire pile of plushies. It's fantastic, because it's like he hates them, but oh my god, no, it wasn't Bulma. Why did I say Bulma? It was fucking Videl. Oh. God damn it. It was Videl that called asking to pick up Pan. And then, see, I only saw this movie once, so I'm literally trying to remember, like, everything about it. So yeah, and then she's like, I'll get you another one of those plushies you like, and he just has, like, a pile of them that he just, like, hates, because he's like, I never liked them. But sure. Right? Now, what does he do? He basically ends up finding out the Red Ribbon Army. Like I said, he finds out the Red Ribbon Army exists. So he goes to Bulma, basically says, hey, shit's happening. we gotta stop him. You have the Dragon Balls. Because, well, no. So it's, and see, this is what I like. I don't want to do a play-by-play, but I'm trying to remember everything that basically happened. And more or less, Piccolo goes to investigate the Red Ribbon Army, finds out what's happening. It's a little bit much. And he ends up having a fight with the androids on that exact order. But him throwing down with the Gamma android, specifically Gamma 2, the blue one, realizing just how strong that android is, realizing that he's a Red Ribbon android, it really sets off all the flags, and that's what causes Piccolo to go and investigate. Right now, so he goes and he checks it out, basically realizing, oh, the Red Ribbon Army are not only back, but they're working their way back into power, and they're making androids again, and we all know how that happened last time. It was a bad thing, blah blah blah. And overall, Piccolo's like, this is a bad time. Great. So what does he do? He tries to contact Bulma to get Bulma to call Whis to get Whis to send Vegeta and Goku back to Earth so that they can help stop the Red Ribbon Army. And what's happening? They're having an ice cream party on Beerus's planet, so Whis can't hear the cell phone. He can't hear his staff ringing for Bulma's phone call. And Bulma's like, oh, I can't reach him. It's like, great, so we gotta figure this out on our own. So Piccolo's like, great, the only other person here that could probably do this is Gohan, and he's busy studying. He doesn't want to do anything. So Piccolo's basically like, it's up to me. So he goes to Bulma and tries to talk about the Dragon Balls, and Bulma's like, yeah, I got those. Why? And he asks to use them to try to make himself stronger so that he can fight the androids in the Red Ribbon Army, right? But Shenron can't do that. Shenron can't do it. He specifically asked about unlocking the potential, kind of like Kamiguru did in Dragon Ball Z for Krillin and Gohan way back when. And Shenron's like, yeah, I can't do that. So Piccolo's like, damn it. Alright, well, how can we figure that out? And what has to happen? Oh, Dende, the Kami of Earth. Dende just needed to download an update. Shenron OS 3.0. That's it. He just had to go upstairs, get the tray out, pour the update right on Shenron, and there it is. There it is. he gets his update, and then Shenron's able to do that thing, and it was hilarious to me. It cracked me up because I'm like, that's ridiculous, absolutely funny. It wasn't in any way ruining. It was just funny to me because it's like, wait a minute. Oh wait, you need that to happen? Oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I have it ready. It's right over there. Yeah, I'll go get it. And then it's just like, it's there, and it's like, he just pours it on the statue of Shenron. It's like, all right, it's good to go. And I'm just laughing because like, you couldn't have done that earlier, just like for the hell of it. You're just like, well, I don't want to give him that, like just in case, you guys never asked. So like, why would I do it? Why would I upgrade Shenron? I don't have to. It was just like such a strange thing. But then they go back and they use the Dragon Balls. Piccolo gets his potential unlocked, and he kind of turns like this orange color, and it's pretty cool. But not much really else changes about him. He's just like a little bit stronger. And he only wanted the one wish. So, since Dende had become the Kami of Earth, Shenron, and now, instead of granting just one wish, he grants 3. So, Piccolo gives the other 2 wishes to Bulma. And god fucking damn it. What does she do? She wishes for a bigger ass and longer eyelashes. And it was the dumbest shit, but it was hilarious. It was just like, oh my god. And then even Piccolo called her. It was just like, wait, you're gonna use the Dragon Ball wishes? The power of the great dragon Shenron on plastic surgery? And she's like, yeah. Why wouldn't I? It was so ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Oh, God. And then Shenron's basically just like, I mean, you're already good. Good. And it's just like, okay. Alright, what the fuck is happening? Oh, God. So, Bulma actually brings up during that session, before they use their wishes, like, hey, couldn't you just wish the Red Ribbon Army gone? And Piccolo literally says, yeah, but that'd be the easy way out, and we're not gonna do that. And so it's like, okay. On one hand, I appreciate they acknowledge it, because that is a question that everybody would have been just. I mean, it's the almost cliche question with Dragon Balls in general. It's like, just wish for this, just wish for that. Why can't you just wish for this thing to happen, or wish for this thing not to have happened? That would have avoided this entire conflict. So it was kind of cool to see they actually acknowledge that he did think about it, anyone thought about it. They were like, nah, we're good. So immediately after granting the wishes, Piccolo's like, damn it, we could have used the wish to wish Goku and Vegeta here. And Bulma's like, oh my god. And it's just like, it's this ridiculous, like, god damn it. Of course, we could have, but we didn't. Right? Ridiculous. And so then we see more of the Red Ribbon Army base. And basically we see that Magenta is trying to convince Dr. Hedo to do shit he doesn't want to do. Specifically, he's like, yeah, your androids are fine, but when the real android he wants is the one that they're still working on. He actually convinced Dr. Hedo and tapped into Dr. Giroux's research to then recreate Cell, the android Cell from Dragon Ball Z. And he's now called Cell Max. And the idea is he's the most powerful android. He's a powerhouse, but he's not ready yet. Magenta wants to use him, but Dr. Hedo's like, oh, if we release him now and he's not done, he could literally destroy this entire planet. And that's not good for anybody. Magenta's like, yeah, whatever. But in order to kind of convince Hedo that things are serious, he shows him a video on his phone, which I thought was kind of cool. It was a video of Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. It was a video of Trunks slicing up Frieza at the beginning of the Android saga. And it was very cool to see because it was actually redone. Like, they actually redrew that scene and it looked great. And it happened a lot faster, obviously, but it was very cool. And so he showed him because the entire convincing point, and I didn't want to bring it up in the review in case it came off as a spoiler, but the whole motivation for this I thought was great. For Dr. Hedo helping Magenta at all is because Magenta's convinced him that Capsule Corp are bad guys, they're evil, and they are working with aliens to take over the planet. And Dr. Hedo's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense, like, we would have known. And then Magenta's like, well, there have been sightings of flying people going to and from the Capsule Corp headquarters. And also, have you not really realized they have, like, this crazy technology, like the capsule technology? And it's just like, it all makes sense, they're working with aliens. So we gotta be able to stop them. And Dr. Hedo's like, oh shit. You're right. We have to stop them. And so that's why he knew kind of Magenta's probably not on the up and up, but he wanted to get his androids funded, so he agreed to it. But showing this video of Trunks 2 slicing up Frieza also reinforces the whole aliens thing and why they need Cell Max. But Dr. Hedo's convinced that the Gamma androids are good enough. They're good enough. They're good enough. We don't need anything else. But yeah. So Cell Max is being built. Not ready yet, though. But what Magenta does decide to do is try to draw out Gohan. Try to draw Gohan by kidnapping his daughter, Pan. And the thing, when this initially was brought up, it's like, Magenta's an idiot. Because, like, we know how strong Gohan is and everything, and it's just like, you're gonna kidnap his kid? You're dumb. He's going, like, that's not gonna end well for anybody involved, right? Obviously we know Gohan isn't gonna let that happen. But the cool part about that moment that I thought was really interesting was that the Gamma androids and Dr. Hedo were like, no, what do you mean? What are you doing? No, we don't kidnap kids. We don't kidnap people. That's what bad guys do. We're the good guys. And it was interesting they held that belief that what they're doing is the good thing, because they're bringing back the Red Ribbon Army to fight back the bad guys who are working with aliens. And when you really look at it from an outside point of view, the evidence and the reasoning for why Capsule Corp is working with aliens and might not be particularly good could make sense. Like, if you're just an outsider and you see flying people coming to and from Capsule Corp, and then you see that Capsule Corp can hide a car inside of a capsule the size of a Red Bull can, like, maybe something's going on there, right? So I thought that was a really cool motivation for, like, believability. It's like, you know what, that kind of does make sense. It doesn't actually sound as ridiculous. But basically their whole plan is to kidnap Pan. And Magenta tells him basically, shut the fuck up. We're gonna take care of this. You do what I'm paying you to do, i.e. make the androids. Do what you're here for. Right? And it's funny because they go to kidnap Pan, and Piccolo talks his way onto the team that's gonna go kidnap her from the preschool. And the guy who's there to kidnap her, it's the most ridiculous thing, because he's like, hey little girl, your mom's too busy, she sent me to pick you up, so let's go home now. And it's just like, oh my god. But then Pan straight up kicks him in the stomach, and it's the greatest thing. He's unconscious. She's like, I've never seen that man before in my life. Beautiful. Because Pan is a quarter Saiyan, so she has a ton of power. Like, come on. She's not a human. Not really. Right? She's half human. 75% human? Quarter Saiyan? But Anyway, so Piccolo convinces her, like, hey, I'm gonna put these handcuffs on you. You can break out of them at any time, but don't do it till I tell you to. You're gonna be safe. We're just playing a game to try to get your dad to do a thing, right? And Pan's just like, oh, this is a game? Great. And she just plays along. She is on board with, like, no real need to further convince. And it's the greatest thing. I absolutely loved it. Oh, it was so good. It was so funny. And so they bring Pan back, right? And Pan pretends on a video to be like, oh no, I'm kidnapped, help me, Dad. And they go take that video to Gohan and be like, hey, we have your daughter. You better come with us. And Gohan's just like, he's not a fan of that. He was pretty pissed. That scene was pretty funny too, because the guy held a gun up to Gohan, like, better listen to us. And Gohan's like, it's a fucking joke. I don't have time for this. And the guy shoots him and he realizes he's bulletproof. And it just clicked. And it was cool to me because it's like, oh yeah, these guys have no idea who they are. They don't know they're Saiyans. They don't know what Saiyans are. They assume they might be aliens, but they don't know to what extent that really is. So the guy shoots him and realizes, oh, it doesn't work. Uh-oh. And then, yeah, there's a whole thing. It was great. So, basically with that, and Piccolo's there, Gohan flies off to the Red Ribbon base. And his arrival is so badass because he just shows up in the rain, badass pose, looking cool, and everybody gets knocked back. And then he's like, basically, he will fight through everybody, and you can tell. It looked great. And so he starts fighting. The Gamma androids are there to fight the bad guy, Gohan, and he's thrown down. And it's great. They're going back and forth. Gohan goes Super Saiyan, and then it's not going perfectly well because these androids are still really strong, even as strong as Gohan is. So Piccolo devises the plan. Hey, you know what we should do? Pan, I need you to pretend like you are in trouble because we need to push Gohan even further beyond. And so Pan's like, okay, great. And she starts screaming for Gohan, and Gohan fucking snaps. It's fucking great. It's so good. And he goes into mystic form. But then also you see the Gamma androids turn around and they're like, whoa, what are you doing? Good guys don't hurt kids. Stop it. It just further reinforcing that they do believe what they're doing is good. Like, they're not under some illusion, like some weird fake programming that makes whatever happens be like, we are the good guys. They genuinely believe and do good. And I thought that was really cool, and they maintained that through the whole movie. Right? But then Mystic Gohan's thrown down. Magenta's like, this isn't gonna work. This is a problem. We need Cell Max. Even though he's not ready yet, he still says, you know what? We need Cell Max. So he's like, he heads off to go release Cell Max. And Dr. Hedo follows him and confronts him down there. Magenta reveals that, oh, he did himself up with android stuff, so his whole upper body is android. Right? He's got shiny metal arms and everything. And then he shoots Dr. Hedo. He straight up shoots Dr. Hedo. He's just like, bye, and kills him. But he can't die because just like at the beginning of the movie, he said, yeah, he modified his skin to be bulletproof and can sustain a lot of damage. So obviously a bullet ain't gonna do anything to him. And Magenta was like stunned. It's like, dude, were you not paying attention, bro? Come on. So Dr. Hedo stings him with the fucking wasp android, which is badass and incredibly overpowered. because the sting from that thing, and they establish it early in the movie too, will kill you. It'll kill any and all organic tissue, even if you are modified as an android, right? So like, say you're mostly an android, whatever parts of you that aren't will die. And it's pretty insane. I think it's cool because it establishes, like, if you're a robot, because that's the difference between a robot and an android. Robots are complete machinery. Androids are a mix, right? So, he stings him, he kills him, he's dead. Magenta's dead, and we're like, okay, wow, so the Red Ribbon Army is done. Fantastic. But no, he dies and falls on the button, releasing Cell Max. Of course he does. And this starts the big finale. Starts the whole big finale of the movie. And there's a lot. I have a lot of thoughts on this entire finale because it, in the best way possible, I thought it could have been better. Honestly, Cell Max coming out, throwing down, it was like, okay. But realistically, I want to talk about Cell Max himself for a minute. So basically, he's a gigantic, raging monster that looks like Cell's second form. Basically, there's the base form like Bug Cell, and then when he absorbs his first android, he goes into that second form. It's basically that form in appearance only. There is nothing else about Cell in Cell Max other than what he looks like. And even then, I feel like he's genuinely too big. And yeah, like he's so big you can't fit him on a frame. And all he does is yell, and he shoots his lasers. And so there's no Cell there. And I know they're trying to tap into that, like, oh, androids remember Cell, and it's like, oh, Cell, he's back, and we all remember how dangerous Cell was. But then this Cell is nothing like him. In fact, the other Cell was more dangerous. Sure, this one's like physically stronger, but the threat of the other Cell wasn't strength exactly. It was the fact that he could absorb and adapt and improve, right? Because we saw in Z, he absorbed all the androids, but then, you know, like in that one moment specifically when Goku sacrificed himself to kill Cell on King Kai's planet, all Cell needs is one literal cell to live, and he can regenerate everything back from that. But the catch was, the whole point I bring that up at all is because in that moment when Goku sacrificed himself and Cell exploded, Cell came back, Cell had absorbed the Super Saiyan genes that Goku had. Because in the research when Gero built Cell, Super Saiyan wasn't a thing. Super Saiyan happened on planet Namek. So Dr. Gero's research never included Super Saiyan. So Super Saiyan was basically their trump card against Cell, and pushing Gohan to Super Saiyan 2 is really what did it, right? But the whole point of this is that Cell was a threat because he could do that, because he could become better. This Cell was just a big angry monster, and my friend Danny, who was with me when we watched the movie, he made a good point afterwards. It's like, you could replace Cell Max with anything else, and that fight plays out the same way. There is no reason for him to be Cell, if that makes sense, right? And there was so much potential for it because it could have had the intimidating factor of, like, Cell when he would talk, right? The way he would talk, the way he would always think of himself as the superior being, right? But that didn't really come off here. Not really. Not at all, actually. Not really. Not at all. Like, he didn't talk at all. He just roared the whole time, right? And so there was no personality to the monster. It's just giant. And none of the characters really cared that it was Cell either. It really felt like they were willing to pace out a lot of the movie really well, and then at the end they were just basically like, we got to get into the fight, we got to do this, go, fight, punch, everything. And man, it could have been so cool if we had the scene where Gohan actually recognized Cell. He doesn't even acknowledge it. He doesn't even acknowledge in name. He doesn't even say like that's Cell Max or looks like Cell or anything. He doesn't say anything. He has the most reason to remember Cell over everybody else, right? The only person that even says anything realistically is Android 18, which when she shows up with everybody else, it was super cool. It was super cool, right? Like, Bulma brings, and it's a funny scene too. Would it be, because Bulma brings other people. She shows up, and she's like, guys, I brought the strongest fighters on Earth, and Krillin's here too. And everybody in our theater busted up laughing. It was fucking hilarious, because it's just like, fucking Krillin, man, he just can't not get roasted. It's so funny. And even he says it. He's like, hey, I'm like one of the strongest people on Earth. Like, the strongest Earthling Krillin technically is, because he is a human. And he's the strongest. So technically he's right. And he brought up the tournament and everything. But it was just funny. It was just funny to have that moment, right? But Android 18 is the only one that's like, whoa, wait, somebody remade Cell? What the hell? Hello? And nobody else really cared. And I was like, man, this could have been such a cool moment. This could have been such a cool moment for Gohan to have like a flashback or like something. And I thought that was what was gonna push Gohan to the edge. I thought that was what was gonna do it. It was gonna be like this moment where he sees Cell Max and he has like this flashback to, oh shit, like Cell, he was the only one who could beat Cell because Cell was the biggest threat to the planet. He was the only one strong enough to do it, and he had to do it. And now he's basically put in that same position. And I thought that's what was gonna push Gohan to go even further beyond. But it wasn't. So while Cell Max is thrown around, unfortunately, we find out that basically Cell Max is invincible. He can't, his entire outer shell is completely impenetrable except for the little dome on his head. That's where all of his special parts are, and they gotta break through that and destroy it, and then Cell Max dies. And so they're trying to hit it and everything, and like a lot of it's not really working, right? So, Gamma 1 decides to be a fucking hero, because he's a superhero. And he's like, you guys distract him, I'm gonna get some distance and then do a full power attack and try to actually like break him. And they're like, great. So Gamma 1 flies all the way to space. All the way to space. And then does a dive bomb. And it's insanely fucking powerful. But it misses. And it's so fucking sad. Because he missed. And he died. And he gave everything. And Gamma 2 sees that. And it pushes Gamma 2 to try harder. And like try to avenge his friend. Basically brother. Right? But man, the cool turning point, one of the cool turning points though, is that during the fight, Piccolo gets knocked into a ravine, and just before breaking all the way down through to the deepest depths, he basically explodes with power, and he comes floating up in probably one of the most badass forms in the entire series, being fucking Orange Piccolo, but he looks fucking crazy. He looks awesome. Like, very, very Demon King vibe. Like, he's fucking swole, he is strong, he is chiseled. And he comes out and he is just like fucking badass. And he's really strong and it's so cool. And it's like, yes, Piccolo deserves it. God damn it, he deserves a new power-up. Hell yeah. Right? And then the other fighters that Bulma brought were Goten and Trunks. And that was another thing I want to talk about because that was really cool. It was so cool to see. Because we finally got a more adult version of Trunks and Goten. Finally, after ages. And I like that they actually explained why they looked adult. Because literally when we last saw them, they were still wee lads. And they say, well, it's because Saiyans, when they reach a certain age, they just hit a growth spurt. They just shoot up. Which was good enough. You know, I didn't need some like deep explanation like, oh, it's been like 6 years, but it hasn't. You know, it's like, oh, they just hit a growth spurt. It's like, cool, good enough, hell yeah. And then Trunks was voiced by the original Trunks actor, and it was fucking beautiful because it's like, it sounds like Trunks. Hell yeah, let's go. And then they do the fusion dance. It's like, oh shit, we're getting Gotenks. And then they fuck it up. In a spectacular fashion. And it's funny. It's funny. And they do, yeah, just to touch on Gotenks for a minute. God, they do so much better with Gotenks in this than they ever have. Because Gotenks is like, they're joking, they're comedy, they're funny. Because they're like immature kids, right? And they keep that. They keep that level of like jokiness, but they actually make Gotenks take the moment seriously. Which is what they've never really done with Gotenks. Like in Dragon Ball Z, when Gotenks goes Super Saiyan 3 against Buu, he's literally probably one of the most powerful beings that could fight Buu. And he makes it a joke. He makes it a fucking joke and it's a meme. And that's basically what costs the fight and why he couldn't defeat Buu, because he was just shit-talking the whole time. And so having him be back here, they're a little bit older, and they have that good balance of like funny but serious. I was happy about it. Like, hell yeah, let's go. Right? Finally, a good sign for the future. For sure. And then Gohan goes over to Piccolo, he's like, hell yeah, that's awesome. It's a good form. And he's like seeing how giant Cell Max is. He's like, what's couldn't you do that? And Piccolo's like, what? It's like, couldn't you grow big? Why don't you grow big? Like you did in the tournament against Goku in Dragon Ball. Remember? And Piccolo's like, oh shit. Oh yeah, I can do that. That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot I could do that. I swear to God. We busted up laughing just because it's like, I forgot I could do this really interesting thing. Just forgot. Just didn't think about it for, well, 20 years. Just forgot. Just slipped my mind that I could become a giant. Right? So he does it. He goes giant. He grows big. And he's in his orange form, and it's just like, it's so cool. It's so badass. It's so fucking cool. And then Gohan's basically like, well, then you got this, right? Like, you can beat him. Easy. And Piccolo's like, well, no, because the form, I may be bigger, but it doesn't make me any stronger. I'm not sure how that works logistically. But yeah, Piccolo's like, it's basically a bluff. I'm not any stronger, I'm just bigger. It's like, okay. Alright. So, he's basically just going to keep Cell Max busy because Gohan is the only one strong enough to actually beat Cell Max. So, Gohan has to go step aside, charge up all of his energy that he could, and Ken and charge up against Cell Max, while everybody else is trying to keep Cell Max distracted, right? And so Cell Max is doing what he's been doing since he was shown off, just roaring, smashing around, shooting lasers everywhere, throwing down, you know, and Piccolo starts getting his ass beat pretty bad. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Like, it's not good. And Piccolo's trying his best to not die. And Gohan wants to help him, but Piccolo's basically like, no, you have to charge. You're the only one who can stop this guy. You have to keep charging up. There is no option here. You have to do it. So Gohan charges, and then Piccolo pretty much looks like he's gonna die. Like he is like at the brink. He is done. And that shit sends Gohan off the edge. That's the moment that sends Gohan over the edge, and he fucking explodes with insane power. And I'll be honest, the 3D animation makes these moments look really cool because they can do that scale and they can make it look really impressive. And they don't have to like redraw every single frame. So I understand. But yeah, so he explodes out and we see Gohan has these like red eyes and he has silver hair, but not Ultra Instinct silver, just silver. And his hair grows like 3 feet long, just outwards, not like down like Super Saiyan 3, but just keeps going. It's really funny, but it's also like, dude's a fucking badass. Holy shit. He turns into Beast Gohan. And Toriyama actually was asked about it, and to literally quote him, it is as if the wild beast within awakened. Right? So Gohan fucking snaps. It goes beast mode. And then Cell Max charges at him, and with one hand just stops him. Doesn't even flinch. Gohan doesn't even move. He stops Cell Max. He's basically, that's the best you got. And then throws him back. And then he starts charging up an attack, but we all expected it was the Kamehameha, the Kamehameha, the Kamehameha, but it wasn't. Puts his hand on his forehead and he starts charging up a special beam cannon. And it was one of the coolest, unexpected ways that this went, because it's like, no, like Piccolo was like his mentor. Piccolo was his dad, pretty much. And Piccolo's a great fighter, so it only makes sense that Gohan took some influence from him. And yeah, he fires up a special beam cannon, and it's fucking sick, and he kills Cell Max. And it's fucking beautiful. And he fucking dies. Well, Cell Max dies, not Gohan or Piccolo. They're fine. They're good. Right? Cell Max is destroyed. Everyone can breathe. You know, Gamma 2 goes over and meets up with Dr. Hedo and Gamma 1. And, you know, it's kind of nice because it's like, oh, they still care. Like, Hedo cares about his androids, you know, and the androids care about him. They do want to be good people, right? And then Piccolo goes over to Gohan and is just like, hey, the hell was that last attack? What was that thing you did? And Gohan's like, what? What do you mean? He's like, you called it a... What was it? What was it you said? And Gohan's like, it's just a special beam cannon. Yeah? And Piccolo's like, oh yeah, where'd you learn that? Where'd you learn how to do that? Gohan's just like, well, I've been practicing it in secret. And Piccolo's just like, damn it, my boy. So nice. And so it's a wholesome collective, but then Piccolo literally saying, hey, so, you know, probably to make this safer on everybody, it's probably best that we don't talk about this and basically never bring this up ever again, and this is a secret and it never happened. And then they're all like, ha ha ha, yeah, probably for the best. And then they go back to their base forms, and it's just like, okay. Like, we're just gonna pretend it never happened at all. Which kind of cracked me up, because it's like, I understand. Like, oh, we gotta pretend this never happened, guys. This is a whole thing. But also, one of Cell Max's attacks was a giant fucking ball of energy the size of the planet. And they're gonna pretend like that never happened. Like, nobody across the entire world saw that and was like, fuck? No, it was just like, what do you mean? So whenever they talk to Goku and Vegeta and everyone again, it's like, what happened? What do you mean? What? No. We heard something about Cell. What? Cell? He's gone. What are you talking about? Come on, Dad, you gotta go to bed. So it's like, that's literally, it's kind of goofy. It's kind of goofy. Right? But it's fun. It's fun. Overall, it was a fun time. Still think they could have done a better villain. God damn it, they could have done a better villain than Cell Max, or they could have done Cell Max better. If they really wanted to go with Cell Max, sure. But they did nothing to actually make him like stand out or be memorable or anything. And the lack of any Gohan anything about Cell at all, I was kind of bummed out about, because there was so much potential. And I didn't want to say it until I talked about Beast Form, but yeah, I was really hoping that seeing Cell end the destruction and like Gamma 1 basically dying, and then, you know, not the fact that Piccolo was dying that turned him into his new form, but the idea that he's now facing Cell again in another situation where Cell is now stronger. And that situation would have been cool to push Gohan over. And in a way, you could connect it to be like, oh, well, that was the situation. But his motivation wasn't connected to Cell, it was connected to Piccolo. Which I understand too, I get it. You know, I'm not arguing that's it's not incorrect. But I just think it would have been better because Cell and Gohan had such a history, right? And they even do so much as to bring it up in the opening animation. They recount the whole Gohan fighting Cell. They even redrew that whole intro in a cleaner anime art style. And they redrew Cell and Gohan in that whole fight. Like, the scenes that they show, right? And it's like, oh, cool. That'd be cool if they kind of like did an homage to that, but not really. But again, like I said, it's not enough to ruin this movie. Like, even though I'm not a fan of the 3D, I still think I'm in this spot where I don't like it enough to be like, I want to see more 3D movies with this style. But I don't hate it enough to be like, I never want this. I hate it. It's horrible. It's just like, I'd prefer it was the other style. I prefer it was the Broly animation because it was god tier. But if they really plan on sticking with this, okay. But they really gotta do the quality. And one of the things I worry is they go back to the anime with this style. Concerned. And you're like, well, why? They did great in this movie. Well, my concern is that this had a movie budget. And this was what it ended up looking like, right? It's like, if you even go back to look at the Super anime, a lot of the moments, there's a lot of moments, even in the tournament arc, which was like the big one. You know, like, things look janky. They were rushed to animate those. They did not have the money and the time to sit there and be like, let's make it look good. It's gonna be good enough, right? So there were a lot of moments that were really rough. And so you see 3D. You try to do 3D anime in that amount of time with that same amount of like crunch, it's not gonna look good. It's not. It's gonna look like some PS2 graphics. Like, it's yeah, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. So that's why, if they want to stick with it, it's gonna be something they have to invest in. It's gonna be an investment, right? And if they don't, it's probably gonna hurt it going forward. If they want to do this going forward. But again, just my thoughts on it. Like I said, overall, movie was great. I liked it. I would totally watch it again. It was a good time. I was very happy with the way the androids turned out, Gamma 1 and 2. I like that Dr. Hito wasn't actually a bad guy, but he was he was involved with the bad guys, but under the guise and the mindset that he was doing good, right? They weren't trying to make Magenta this like very intimidating, very like powerful final villain. Like he was the orchestrator of everything. It's like, what a twist. So I like what they did. I like what happened. There are just some moments I think could have been better. But again, that's the way it is. And then of course, right at the end, these last little parts, right? Just to wrap it up here, because this has already been going on for so long. But I appreciate you sticking around. The camera does like the flybys, and we literally see Goten and Trunks do the fusion dance again, but it was perfect. It was perfect. They did it. They nailed the finger points and everything, and they didn't show it, and they know damn well what they were doing. They knew we wanted to see it, but they're like, not today. You're not gonna see it here. Maybe someday. And I was just like, damn it. But it was funny. It was good. But the end credits scene really got the whole theater cheered. It was great. It was really funny because the entire backdrop of the movie was Goku and Vegeta fighting on Beerus' planet. No powers, no forms, no anything. Just hand-to-hand combat, martial arts. Classic. In order for Broly to watch them and learn how to do a fight without destroying the planet. Even though in that fight they do break a lot of shit. But that was the idea, right? And so it comes back to this fight at the end of the movie, and Goku and Vegeta are standing next to each other, across from each other. They're exhausted, they're worn out, and it was goddamn top tier. It was so good because they're like done, and then Vegeta basically just does like one more, and fucking Goku just collapses on the ground, and Vegeta's like, I finally did it. I did it. I finally beat Kakarot. And it was the funniest thing. Everybody clapped, laughed, and cheered, and it was beautiful because it was such a self-aware joke. It was great. Like he could never beat Goku, but now he finally did. And it was great. It was a cool little thing that they threw in there at the end. I respect that. But of course, that's just my opinion. Just some random dude on the internet with an opinion about Dragon Ball. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. What are your thoughts on this movie? Have you seen it? Do you plan on seeing it? If you plan on seeing it and you've watched this far, I've already told you the movie. But you should see it anyway. Because it is really good. It is really good. The good outweighs any of the bad. And there isn't anything I'd even say is bad about the movie. Like, there are just things that I think could have been better. But the fact that there's no glaring, like, oh, that's not great, I think is, makes a point. So really, thank you for watching this far, or choosing to watch my entire deep dive opinion about this movie. I want to know what you guys think in the comments, for real. What are your opinions? What were your best moments? What were some moments you were like iffy about, or if any? Or what do you think? What do you think about the motivations of the Red Ribbon Army, the whole Capsule Corp being bad guys and working with aliens to take over the planet, you know, on Gamma 1 and 2. And then, what are your thoughts on Cell Max? Because, like, you guys know my opinion, but I want to know other people's opinions too, so let me know. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that is. And I know it's a review, but depending on how you guys feel about this one, I could do more. So I got a lot of ideas, a lot of movies, a lot of things we can watch. The One Piece movie's coming out, and I'm definitely gonna go see that. So we might talk about that one next. But until then, see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.